everyone. Welcome to this week's Karma Cards and one of the most intense energy periods we've had in a while. We've had a lot of intense energy. Things keep ramping up, and this week is no exception. In fact, there's a lot of planetary movements as well as a lot of solar weather. Today, the day I'm recording this, is Friday, October 11th, and this is the day that Pluto in Capricorn moves direct for the last time in our lifetime. This is a big move because Pluto is the great power purge planet. It is where transformations happen and secrets are revealed. And when we first moved into Pluto in Capricorn was back in 2008 during the financial crisis in the United States. And that's one of the reasons why that event happened at that time is Pluto in Capricorn is about institutions, and it's about sort of bringing up what's in the dark, bringing it into the light, that transformative power. If it's not empowering you, it gets purged and it has to be seen. So now we're at that final degree at 29 degrees, which is a very powerful degree, and it's moved back into position. It was retrograding, now it's going direct, and I think we're going to see more of that institutional purge for our empowerment coming into the light. So that's one of the things that's happening. As it's happening, we're having geomagnetic storms that are really strong. The KP index today is at a 7. Yesterday it was at an 8. The highest it goes, as I understand it, is 9. So we're at peak energy. This does have an effect on human health as well as our communication system. So having communication issues like radio wave issues or GPS issues or just issues in general with communication can kick in, but also the effect it has on us. It's sort of creating situations where maybe you feel like everything's okay, but something feels wrong, or things do feel wrong and it feels more intense. It can have physical symptoms like you feel nauseous or tired or easily headachy. I kind of feel the headachy thing right now. That can affect us. So the goal is to take it easy during this window. If you have to do things, can you do them in a way that's gentler for your system? Like instead of going at full speed, can you go at moderate speed? And if you're at moderate speed, can you go at a slower speed? So it's regulating yourself to help you deal with this energy, because this energetic layer is like a pressure cooker feeling on top of us. It does produce a lot of aurora borealis, which can be seen across North America right now. I've seen some beautiful pictures of that, but it's still a type of pressure cooker energy. And so we've got Pluto going direct. Jupiter has also moved into retrograde. So now we've got our benefic planet pulling its energy inward as one of the more malefic feeling planets expands outward. So this again can create that sort of feeling of like maybe the things that you want to expand in your life aren't expanding in the way that you'd like them to, and that can create a type of frustration as well. We just started that on October 9th. And then on the 13th of October, which I believe is Sunday, we've got Mercury moving into Scorpio. Now the Scorpio Pluto combination here. So the planet Pluto very active, Mercury moving into Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. Scorpio likes to dig down for the truth. So getting down to the nitty gritty, going down into the depths, no matter what you find, just so you can get the truth, is where the mind wants to go. So this period can feel kind of intense, and there's a lot of intensity happening at every level. And then we've got the full moon happening in Aries on the 17th. So this all sort of culminates to this full moon energy, and that full moon is in alignment with the North Node, which is also in Aries. And this is about independence. So all of this digging around and roiling around, again, is to help us break down codependency and be in a healthier state of sovereignty and independence. And with that, with trying to break an old pattern, is part of healing. And that really brings me to the message this week from the team. By the way, before I forget, there is a full moon spirit circle on October 17th if you'd like guidance and to join me and to powerfully work through the stuff that's coming up that needs to be healed. Full moons are great work. It's a great time to work on healing. So if you'd like guidance there, if you'd like to be in a beautiful group of people who are all doing a similar work and raising their own energy and cleaning up all that energy that still needs healing, you can join us here. The link is in the description below. So let's get to the message from the team, which is about understanding healing. A lot of people think of healing as the soft energy, right? They think of the hot bath, or they think of the hearing the words that they need to hear that feels so calming and balm-like to their soul, or they feel that it's the meditation and the sitting in nature and the quiet aspects, and all of that is, of course, is a part of healing. But that's not necessarily what healing looks like as we're going through it. Many times it's coming up against the very thing that's causing you pain. It is that willingness to look it directly in the eye, the thing that's caused you trauma or pain, or the thing you're afraid of, and confronting it and recognizing that this can be healed now. I don't have to carry this anymore. And as we get into that space where we acknowledge this can be healed now, the healing process really kicks in. And the healing process, if you think again about the body and how the body heals, when we have the traumatic event, like my husband broke his pinky toe a few weeks ago. And I remember him, the traumatic event happened. He smacked it against the leg of a chair and it got pushed out of place. Like, it was obvious it was broken. And I heard the yelp of pain. And then there was sort of the shock and awe, and he's like, I think my toe is broken. And then the recognition that, yes, it is broken. As he was dealing with what do I do and what are the next steps to move into healing, like we splinted it, we wrapped it, he went to urgent care and got it checked out. He said during that process, I don't feel a lot of pain. Weirdly, I don't, like, there was pain and then there wasn't pain. Then a week later, that's when he really felt the pain. As the bone is resetting itself and reconnecting, that's when he felt the pain. And that's exactly like what healing is a lot of times we have the traumatic event where we feel that initial pain, and then there's the coping or the numbing or the avoidance and denial that allows us to not feel that pain anymore. And yet those things are working on our lives. Something's going on in the background, even though we're numbing ourselves to the pain that we felt. Whatever we're doing to cope or numb or deny is working on us in the background, working to bring it to our conscious attention. As soon as we decide to give it our conscious attention and move into healing, that's when we're feeling everything that we did not feel before. It has to be felt. You have to feel it to heal it. And this can cause people a healing crisis where they're feeling like it's not healing. I feel worse than ever before. Like, this will never get better. This is the most intense, excruciating pain I have ever had to feel. And I'm actually angry at the healing process because I feel like it's abandoned me. Maybe it's not here. Maybe I don't get to heal. And that's a thought people hold even as they're actually healing. So I want to help us acknowledge that pain and even our anger or our feeling of maybe resentment that we're not healing is actually a signal that there is healing, because you're feeling it now. Now you feel it. Right now, as his bone is trying to heal, he feels that pain. Of course, in the healing process, that feeling of intense pain or discomfort, it's also temporary. So now it's been about 3 weeks for him. And there was, like, I would say within the second week is when he really felt the healing pain. And now we're at week 3 and it's uncomfortable, but it's manageable. And every day it gets a little easier, it gets a little better, and soon it will be fully healed and done. And we've got to try to hold our psychological, emotional, mental healing in that same category as physical healing. And physical healing is I feel like we surrender more because it's the body, right? Like, the body has to do what it needs to do. We're very much a part of that. But for some reason, again, there's a sort of separateness that we give it where it's like the body's going to heal in the time it takes to heal. I know for some people, even that they can be in resistance to, but for the most part, I think that it's easier to accept physical healing. Psychological and emotional healing from those kinds of trauma. Some of us feel like we have to be with that forever. And a big part of it is because we're still not letting ourselves feel it. We're not letting ourselves heal that. We're telling ourselves we're stuck with this forever, and that's not true. It can be healed. And we need to hold the space that a healer would hold for us. So many of you who are listening to this understand the mechanism of a healer. And if you don't, let's talk about it. The mechanism of a healer, if you're healing someone energetically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically, you're holding the intention as the healer that this person's already healed. You are holding the wholeness and the perfection of their healing. They're actually, the patient, the person who needs the healing is doing the work. The healer is holding the space for that to happen. And they are holding the framework, the blueprint, if you will, that it is done. And it's really the person who is doing the work. They are navigating themselves from a belief or a lack of belief in their healing to a belief in their healing and holding that. And when that person gets to the place where they declare they are healed, they're actually healed. The healer just constantly holds that knowing. And the team's saying, you can do this for yourself. Yes, it's great if you have someone else doing it for you, can really booster you and expedite the process, but you can do this on your own by intending that you are healing now. Healing now, or even better, healed and whole. So healed and whole is a mantra I like to use when I recognize where I would like healing, is I actually try to go right to that healed and whole. And again, that doesn't mean I don't go through the feeling. You have to feel it to heal it. You go through the process, but you're holding the intention of healed and whole. And at some point, you're going to be able to declare this is healed. So we can do that for ourselves now. And instead of saying, why does this hurt so bad? Why is healing eluding me? We can rewire our understanding of it to be like, I'm feeling it now. That's actually the healing process, right? When you've got a cut on your skin, it starts to heal, it itches. It's more uncomfortable as it's healing. As you are moving through your own healing process, and whatever it is, there is a level of discomfort you can expect. You will get to the point where you are metaphorically zen and, in nature and relaxed and hearing the beautiful music. But in the meantime, if you understand that part of the journey is like everything that I was unconscious to, I'm becoming conscious of, it will help you understand that you're doing the process. I think we get in our own way sometimes when we think we're not doing it or it's not happening. It's like we send ourselves back to the start and we have to keep traveling that path over and over again because maybe we're holding an expectation that I'll feel better when it's happening. Better comes on the other side of feeling it. And so with all this intense energy, what can we do to help ourselves get there? Number one, recognize if I feel the pain, I'm healing now. 2, become a healer in our own lives by intending ourselves healed. Even if you still feel the pain and discomfort, I am whole, I am healed, all is well. I am whole, I am healed, all is well. We hold that, again, not as a band-aid, not as a spiritual bypass, but as a set point in our mind that allows us to move through this. So as I feel it, I heal it, and I'm holding that I'm healed. And then the last step, and this one's so important right now because I see a lot of people when I'm talking with them, their brain is zigzagging all over the place, but they're not here. They're not in this moment. They're in the moment that they anticipate, like they want, or they're in the moment that they dread, but they're not here. So what is coming up a lot for clients right now are control issues, big time. So that's very much aligned to Pluto. And this Pluto and Capricorn is very much about control issues. It's very much about what has been too controlled or forcefully controlled or controlled in a dark manner. But even within ourselves, what am I trying to control? Am I trying to control an outcome? Am I trying to control someone else's behavior? Because these are two things I actually have. They're not in the grasp of my control. What's in the grasp of my control is what I focus on, is how I take care of myself, is my own thoughts, is how I react or respond, is what I'm, right? Everything that you can manipulate within your own system. How I view this, right? Very important one. My belief system, I can control that, right? The story I'm telling myself can control that. My emotional state, I can control that to a degree by focusing on, okay, this is the emotion and that's tied to this thought. So changing my thoughts changes my feelings, changing how I feel about healing, right? All of that's in my control. What other people say or do, whatever's coming, I cannot control. I can only intend healing and high frequency and higher timeline and do things that align me with that. And so again, even looking at where am I trying to control things is still healing, right? Because it's becoming conscious. So if you're noticing that in this next week, that's like, ooh, yeah, I'm really noticing where I'm trying to get ahead of something and prevent or create an outcome. Ooh, I'm going to get conscious of that. I'm going to celebrate when I get conscious of it, because that's a big one to catch. Here's how you know that's happening. If you're feeling a lot of anxiety, that is a key sign. That's an emotion that's telling you you're in controlling thoughts, right? If you're feeling a lot of anxiety, I've projected too far into the future and I'm trying to control something that has not happened yet. So as we become aware of that, we become present. It's like reel yourself back into this moment. What's happening in this moment? Well, the thing I'm afraid of is not happening. Okay, great. Or the thing I want isn't here yet. Okay, fine. It's like I want that, but what am I deciding is going to happen when I get that thing? Especially, let's look at the things we want really quick. If we're waiting to be happy because of this thing that we want to have happen, we're denying happiness in the present moment. If we are freaking out because of something that is potentially going to happen in the future or that we're afraid of happening, we're denying ourselves peace right now, right? We're too far out of center. The only place we have power is the present moment. Power is in the present. You have no control over the future and the past is over. But the power is here right now. So one of the things they're really focusing on is be in your power now. And with that, let's see what the karma cards have to add to this message. All right, if you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message you have for us this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with your beautiful intuition and feel, what is it you need right now? Are you looking for action related guidance? Or do you want to see how things resolve over the next 7 days? And of course, you can always choose both. And while you are choosing, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for October 10th through the 17th. And the flavor of this reading, we have Venus, which is one of the benefic planets. So we know that the actions here are going to be more positive, gentle, and loving. It's more about leaning in when you get Venus than it is about stepping out. In the sign of Libra, which is one of the signs that Venus rules, she rules Taurus and Libra. So we've got Libra activated. It is Libra season right now. So it's talking about leaning into the balance, right? Finding that balance point. And the house that is activated is the 4th house. So interestingly enough, the messages I've been really getting from the team are about, be careful too much about the future. So this is about the past, which is really where our healing is focused on. There's nothing really yet to heal in the future. It hasn't happened yet. We can heal our mind right now, and it's usually linked to the past that caused us to project that way anyway. Something in the past that we can heal right now. All right, for those who are choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is to cherish relationships as you did in the past. This one's interesting because when I tap into it, it's not really talking about human relationships as much as it's talking about maybe a childlike relationship to nature or to spirit or to God or source, however you look at that. But it's this children trust that they're being taken care of. And maybe it's because when we're born, for the most part, most of us experience some kind of support structure where we're being taken care of. But there's also that bigger energy of like, again, the awareness of something bigger looking out for you and taking care of you. It's got your back. That doesn't mean it's not easy. And you have to remember, we do have free will. So we're allowed to stray. We're allowed to like go off path and make mistakes and really kind of go against even the virtues and morals that we're taught. We're allowed to go far away from that if we want to. And we're still loved and watched over, but it's like, it reminds me of the energy of like my kids on the playground. It's like, as long as you're on the playground, I'm there with you and I can watch you. If you were to stray and go far from that, obviously I'd have to go get you. It's harder to take care of you if you're not within the zone that I've designated for you. I hope that makes sense. But there is a sort of designated zone of like care. We can stray far from that. We are still cared for. We are still loved. We are still cherished. But we might not feel that because we're not in that designated zone, if that makes sense. So it's asking us to, your relationship to something higher that's watching over you, it loves and is looking over you all the time. Some people say, I don't feel that. And the question I have for you and again, this isn't a blame. This isn't you did something wrong, but are you within that zone where you felt watched over? Or are you like straying out to an edge somewhere that feels like it's harder to receive that? And that's just a question to sort of meditate on. Again, this isn't a judgment. It's not a blame, but rather how can you come closer to that? Where is it that feels close to you? For example, let's say you feel close to that, like you can feel that larger energy watching over you when you're in nature, but you live in the city, right? So it's hard to feel that closeness. As an example, can you go somewhere where you feel it more? Maybe it's your journal that does that for you. Like when you can communicate and get your thoughts out of your head, but you haven't been journaling. And so you feel like the zone of protection, it just doesn't feel as close because you feel it closer when you're journaling or you're praying or meditating. Not to say that that's the only place that you will feel it. I'm saying, where is that zone for you where you really feel contact? And like, for example, where do I feel it? Do I feel it in meditation? Yeah, sometimes in meditation, sometimes when I can spend like 30 minutes to an hour, I really feel it. I don't often get that time, or I often don't take that time, I should say. And so maybe I'm not feeling it as strong. I can go back to that, right? And that's what it's asking of you to recognize right now. Mental action at this time. Enjoy the beauty of your home base or family. This feels like it ties right into that. So again, the cards talk about that sort of personal aspect, but what I'm really getting here is based on the messages that are coming. This is a spiritual aspect. I was just talking about a home base. Where's that zone where I feel it? That's home base for you, right? If it is in like a literal physical spot like nature or the water or something, can you get there? If it's more of a mental state like a meditation or a journaling, can you get there? What is it for you? Everybody's got their own, so there's no right way to do it, only the way that gets you feeling closer to home. Notice how when you're in that space, whether it's in your journal or in nature or wherever it be, notice that deep sense of centering you get for the time that you get to spend there. You don't always get to hang out there very long, right? Especially if you're journaling, eventually that ends. If you're meditating, eventually that ends. If you're out on a nature hike, eventually that ends. we don't get to hang out there very long, but it will vastly recharge you, and take the time to enjoy it no matter what's going on if you can. Our brain, when we're in trauma, fight or flight, likes to tell us everything is the same. It goes black and white, and it goes to the extreme. So if something bad is going on in your life, it likes to tell you your whole life is bad. Watch that thought. That's black and white thinking. And that's not true. That's not healthy or true. A healthy mind would be able to see it's bad right here, but I've got this, and this that's going well. Okay, this, and this isn't going great, but this, and this is going well. It would be a healthy mind, a mind that's not in fight or flight, that's like in an extreme mental state, will see the nuances and the balance of life. It will see the 50-50. 50% is going great, 50% not so great, or 60-40 if you're lucky, but we're promised 50-50. Meaning 50% positive experience, 50% negative. And not all at the same time necessarily. But if you're in a space where you're like, no, it's really negative, there's still positive happening. And when you're out of fight or flight, when you're out of distress, you're able to see that. So watch, be careful. That's another way for you. That's another mile marker, if you will, that will let you see, I am not in a balanced mental state because everything looks dangerous or everything looks scary. If you're there, have compassion and understanding for yourself, but do something to move you out of fight or flight. So again, my simple answer is legs up the wall, because it puts you into parasympathetic breathing. You cannot stay in fight or flight, even if you're like, I still feel like crap mentally, understood, but you're not in fight or flight after 10, 20, 30 minutes of legs up the wall, because your heartbeat is slowing down, because it doesn't have to pump so hard. And if it's not pumping hard, it kicks on the parasympathetic nervous system, which tells you it's safe, and it helps you get into a more rational, balanced mental state. You can't do it while you're in fight or flight. And I know that, when tough times are happening, it feels like I can't stop and take a minute for myself. You're going to continue to feel that way until you stop and take a minute for yourself. Even in extreme situations, you can stop and take a minute and do everything you can. And again, deep, slow breathing. This is another thing. Again, your body will go, wait, if I have the moment to stop and breathe slow for 10 breaths, I am clearly not being chased by something that will devour me, right? I can actually slow down and start using critical thinking. And that's what it's getting us to focus on, is where is that zone where I feel like something bigger than me is taking care of me? You have one. You might not be using it right now. No judgment. I'm not using mine all the time either. This is just a good reminder for us to do it. Physical action at this time, charm, art, and beauty are the way to do it with your partners and do what makes you feel secure. Again, our partners here are our spirit team, our higher self, a higher power, and those things that allow us to soften our charm, art, and beauty, right? So when I can appreciate the beauty around me, when I can appreciate the clouds and the trees and the flowers, that's beauty, right? When I can focus on what enriches my life, that's art. Where I can enjoy myself, that's charm. So these are very soft features that many times when we are in a healing crisis or things feel hard, we feel like we can't get to. Like it's not going to work. Why don't you give that a try? And maybe you feel like you're avoiding something if you do. If I engage with being present in the moment and saying everything's okay, I feel like I'm denying the pain. That's not true. This is sort of an antidote to get more in the zone, right? So again, I think that there's a falsehood sometimes when we're in the middle of pain that something outside of us maybe needs to fix it or soothe it, and it's going to calm us down. We're really, as adult, as a child that may have worked. As an adult, it's very much on us to get ourselves out of that state. Yes, we can have people around us guiding us or advising us to get in that state, but it's really on us to get there. And It is hard to remember to use those tools when you're in trauma, fight, or flight. When you're there, if you don't practice it regularly, you won't feel like you can access it in the extreme energy. But if you're listening to this now, there's a good chance that you have a moment here to catch yourself and allow yourself that softness, because how do we take the edge off the pain of what we're feeling? We soften. It's okay. This is okay that I'm here, and it's okay to relax, and it's okay to try and enjoy something to help me rebalance myself. And that's what it's saying we can do. It'll help you feel more secure if you can soften in the midst of it, which is why the nervous system is something you always hear me talking about, because the nervous system is where you feel it, right? And if you can calm that, if that can be calm and stable, then it's easier to get the mind to go with it, right? They affect each other. Sometimes if we can't get a grasp on the mind because it spins really fast when we're stressed out, we try to get there through the body. And so the goal is to make you feel secure. What can make you feel secure while you're going through healing? And if the healing is intense, there's a good chance you might tell yourself this isn't going to work, or I can't get there. That's again the mind spinning. So go to the nervous system, calm yourself, and recognize that softness will create that balance and will help you feel that zone of something's protecting me, something bigger than me has got my back. You've got to do some work to get yourself there, but once you get yourself there, you'll start to feel it. You'll feel that support, and the thing that's scaring you or overwhelming you or painful, it starts to go from this big monstery energy into something that's more manageable, which is where you want it to go. That's letting you know, my mind's balancing out, right? I'm starting to get clarity of the mind versus an inflammation of the mind. Right, so now let's look at outcomes for Venus in Libra in the 4th house of the past. Right, spiritual outcome at this time, the attraction of cooperation to perfect what makes you feel secure. So as you can see, even just allowing this is possible. I am healing. Yeah, I'm in pain. This hurts. This is big. I feel overwhelmed by it, but I'm healing. And the healing's happening right now. Everything I'm going through is actually a sign of healing. Again, that's a mindset shift right there. Just that shift alone will help draw in this allowing myself to soften, allowing myself to relax, allowing myself to enjoy things, allowing myself to go to my home base where I feel that protective energy. And now I'm starting to feel my sense of security. Mental outcome at this time, pleasure from decisions about support. So again, as we tap into our home base and where we feel our higher power hanging out, right? That zone, remember the playground. As long as I'm hanging out in there, I really feel like I'm being watched over. I'm always being watched over, but this is where I feel it. When you let yourself go there, that's a decision. I'm letting myself go to the place where I really can feel that higher power support that brings a lot of relief. So that's the pleasure I'm getting. It's like, God, I can soften. Yes, I can relax. Oh my gosh, okay, it's not so bad. Like everything that was hyper inflamed soothes and calms and softens and feels more balanced, allowing you to handle whatever you're going through at this time. So getting into that zone where you really feel it is going to have a big payoff this week. All right, physical outcome, good times resulting from the fairness shown by your home base or family. We're going to get relief. We're going to get relief. This is a rampage right now, and there's a lot of intensity going on. Like I've pointed out before, a lot of planetary things going on, a lot of solar things going on, a lot of stuff coming up. Healing crisis might be there for you on top of the planetary stuff going on. You're going to get through this and it's going to feel better. This moment is sort of an escalated moment, if you will. Find your home base. Find the thing, right? The meditation, the journaling, the nature, whatever it is. find that, dwell there, help yourself get out of the extreme thinking, get present. And all of this, you write it out and it's like, oh, I can breathe again. Oh, it's better, right? This moment, I wouldn't let any moment dictate the quality of my life, meaning this might be a bad moment, but my life isn't bad. I'm not going to let a moment dictate the quality of my life. In fact, if I can stay in this balanced mental space, I'll realize there's a bad thing going on over here, but it's not my life. And when we do that, we're getting out of the fight or flight extreme thinking, and we're getting into a more balanced space. And then we find that I can handle it better. When we blow something up in our life, it's painful and maybe it feels intimidating, but if you blow it up to make it your whole life, then of course it's going to feel like the sky is falling. That's fight or flight thinking. So as we shrink it down, as we allow ourselves to heal, as we acknowledge that we're healing, even as we feel pain, we get over this crappy moment. If you're in a crappy moment, you get over that and you realize it's better than you realized. Things are better than you realized, and you have a better perspective on it after this. So as we're writing this together, maybe it's like a roller coaster for you, maybe it's something else, but this moment will pass. It's not your life. It is a moment. And if you can get to your home base where you really feel God's protection or source's energy or nature around you, you're like, I am protected, I am being looked after. Go to where you feel that the most, and that will expedite this turnover for you quicker. And with that, I'm here for you. I'm here for you in spirit. Just know that you are going to get through this moment to a better moment. And in the meantime, holding space for you and lots of love. Mwah.